two, three. Hey, what's up, homies? Welcome to another episode of Trash Talk 2, Season 2, or however you want to call it. I'm here as always with Ryan, as
Hey,
you know him as the boss.
yes, how's it going, everybody? Good to be back once again for another podcast.
So, we have a special one for you today. So, 13 Reasons Why came out today. So, to commemorate that, we're going to
Oh,
talk about the MCU.
oh,
I'm
yes,
kidding.
because
I'm kidding, of
I was gonna
course.
say that's not a celebration for the MCU.
So yeah, actually today Deadpool 2 came out, but we can talk about that in the next podcast.
Yes, because Deadpool technically isn't part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
But hey, I'm excited for it. Like I still have my doubts. Like I'm like, maybe it's not gonna be as good as the first one.
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to see it tomorrow, so I'll be able to tell. So,
I don't know. I don't know when I'm gonna see it, but I'm just gonna uninstall every social media app till I see it. Cause
hey,
spoilers.
if it makes you feel any better, I'll spoil it for you right after I see it.
Okay, cool.
I
Man,
just use the entire script.
I'm gonna have to block you first though.
Oh, come on. It's not that bad.
Hopefully they let me into the theater because when I went to see Logan with my friends, they didn't even let us in. They just like, well, do you want to see another movie? So we ended up watching Split
I
by
mean,
M Night Shyamalan.
if you think about it, though, they don't let 4-year-olds into rated R movies, man. So I guess I can
Uh,
kind
they shouldn't
of.
let old people also because you might get a heart attack, dude. Um,
I mean, us old people can
s-
handle it, though. We're better than you whippersnappers.
what are you gonna tell me to stop swallowing Tide Pods or some shit?
I was gonna.
Anyway,
I'm just gonna tell you not to swallow. Period. Not just Tide Pods.
oh, that's homophobic, dude. You can't say that. Uh, Anyway, so we're gonna review basically every Marvel TV show and movie. We're gonna go from Iron Man 1 all the way up to Infinity War, and then we're gonna talk a little bit, if we have time, about the the shows that are coming up and movies that are set to premiere in the
Wait,
following years and time.
you're forgetting one other MCU property besides the movies and the TV shows.
Corey in the House?
No, the new Grinch reboot movie coming out. We can't forget that. That's like the biggest
Oh
MC.
yeah. I'm excited for that one.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be like the
Uh
best movie ever.
yeah. I'm still hoping to. Okay, let's just start. This is getting stupid. So let's start. We're gonna kick off with Iron Man 1 that came out back in 2008.
Don't you mean
Think of
FP man?
what?
FP man, the periodic table version of Iron Man.
Oh, okay. Sure, why not? F.E. Man.
Yeah, FP man.
We might as well say F.E. person. But
Okay.
yeah, Iron Man 1. How do you feel about that movie?
Personally, as far as Iron Man 1 goes, I actually really did enjoy the movie. It wasn't one of my favorite MCU movies that, as a whole, since they've come out with 18 of them so far. Yes, 18. But it
Yeah,
was a good movie.
that's a lot.
It was a, oh, absolutely. It's a good start, though. I really did enjoy the story. It was a good introduction to Tony Stark's character about how he was this snobby businessman who starts his transition to becoming a hero. And I like the fact that he takes down that corporate scumbag who pretty much organized to have him killed. So it was a solid movie overall.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I feel like it's a bit underrated because it's also a pretty forgettable movie. And it's like the guys over at Screen Junkie said that without that movie, we wouldn't have all the other ones probably. If that movie would have flopped,
Yeah, I mean, like
well,
if
we wouldn't be talking about it now.
well,
So
exactly. We wouldn't have gotten any of the other movies we would have now. The MCU would be like the DC universe.
yeah, and basically, yeah, exactly. Basically, probably superhero movies would still suck like in the 90s.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, the other superhero movies they've made, like before Iron Man, like Daredevil, Like those movies weren't bad. Like the only reason people hated Daredevil, for example, was that whole Electro fight scene.
No, it was bad in general. Like they were
Yeah.
really poorly acted, poorly written. Like it's kind of what they said about video game movies that they're hoping video game movies get better because of the fact that now people are growing up with video games. Like back then they grew up with comic books. So now actual fans are writing the movie instead of like with the Super Mario movie where it was just two random directors they chose that didn't even know the game. So I think that's the way I see it.
In my opinion, I'm just saying I think Daredevil is an underrated movie. But as far as like other movies
Uh,
like Super Mario Bros, I think that yeah, that's a terrible idea.
yeah. So in I give it a. I'm gonna write down everybody the ratings we give them. So I give it a 7.
I'm gonna give Fe Man One
No, an
a.
8. I'm gonna give it an 8.
I'm gonna go with the 7
Okay.
for Fe
So
Man
now
One.
we're gonna go with the one that Screen Junkies called Your Uncle That Everyone Forgets, The Incredible Hulk. That movie that
Yeah,
somehow is tied up to the MCU.
technically tied to the MCU. The
You know,
only
Bruce Banner had some plastic surgery, I can imagine.
apparent,
Uh,
aka Edward Horton, actually was Hulk on the set and got fired, or he quit. It was one of the two.
yeah. Yeah, anyways, this movie sucks.
You're just it's like yeah, it just straight sucks.
Yeah,
Um,
the CGI is just terrible, but it was 2008,
I mean,
so
I think you got to keep that in mind too. Like this was the early days of the MCU. You could argue that for DC, but DC has kept the 2008 CGI for the entire time up to this point. But for Marvel, these early days they were not the best movies, but I thought the Incredible Hulk was okay. It wasn't fantastic by any means. I don't think. It was definitely better than the newest Fantastic Four reboot back in 2015. We can safely
yeah,
say
that Fantastic Four reboot just
it
was,
blew.
yeah. I
It
was
sucked.
kind of excited for it actually because I'm a Michael B. Jordan fan,
Yeah.
but
Well,
yeah, and
I was excited for the movie too, and then it just turned
and
out to
this
be.
other girl, the girl that plays Sue Storm, I don't remember her name, Erin Moriarty. Yeah, her as well. I'm a House of Cards fan, and but yeah, it was just kind of. But yeah,
Over,
the Hulk. We're talking about the Hulk.
yeah, but
Uh,
the
Overall,
whole
this movie is really boring. It's really forgettable.
it is kind
The
of
vil
forgettable. And to
the
be fair, the only thing that really connects it to the MCU is like the last 2 minutes after
Yeah,
like the are over. That's it.
yeah, and it doesn't have like this interesting commentary. Like that's something I really liked about Iron Man 1 that it had this like a bit it was kind of a rough commentary because they about the commentary on the US Army and it was just like 2007 a around those times where the Irani war or something was going on in the Middle East. I don't remember. I was
I
6 years old. But yeah. So basically, I thought that was really bold, especially now that it isn't as popular to hate on the government as it was back then.
yeah. And overall, like the movie as a whole, I think it's average. It's a little below average. It's not fantastic. It's not the
Yeah.
worst movie ever made, but it's not great by any means.
It's kind of those movies that you ask like,
Or
"Hey, did you like the Hulk movie?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, I watched that one."
it's
Huh?
like,
No,
but
I didn't like it.
wait, what Hulk movie? They made a Hulk movie?
Yeah. So, what's your rating?
My rating on the Incredible Bulk is probably going to be, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, I think a 4 out of 10 is mildly appropriate for it.
Yeah, so we're gonna skip the year 2009 because there weren't any Marvel movies. Can you imagine that? A year
I
without Marvel movies?
That's like a year without Santa. That was a good cartoon, by the way.
Uh, okay, I've never heard about that. So 2010 rolls up with Iron Man 2. And
Effie
Iron
Man
Man
2.
2, that movie is really boring. It's just,
Actually, what?
yeah, what are you gonna say?
Well, I was just gonna say, like, Like when you said it was boring, I was like, I personally for Iron Man 2, I actually did enjoy that movie a lot. I thought it was actually better than Iron Man 1. The
What?
It was a more solid story, I feel. The writing was a
No, it
bit better.
wasn't.
And I feel like
No, it wasn't.
story development for Tony Stark leading into like the introduce the Avengers Initiative. Tony grows more as a character. He stops
No, he
evil.
doesn't.
It shows him dealing with the sins of his father's past with his company, and
What
like
about
dealing
the
with the new
ridiculous
enemy.
holograms?
Yeah, but that was just part of it, though, man. That was just part of the aesthetic. But I mean,
Yeah, but
even
everything in this movie looks fake. It feels fake. I mean, when you watch the first Iron Man movie and you see him just build Mark 1 out of scratch, you'd say, "Wow, that actually looks real." But when you see him like with his ridiculous holograms that are just like, uh, I don't know, give me the answer of life, and like, oh, the answer of life is 42, and then it's like, ha ha ha, and yeah, and
I mean,
just kind of the jokes, like they complain about the newer Marvel movies being too quippy. This one is just the worst. Has the worst jokes ever. Like Iron Man pees his pants. Ha ha. Laugh, 12-year-olds.
I'm pretty sure
And
they include that joke though in the movie.
yeah, they did.
A joke.
And and the action just looks so bad. It just looks so fake. Like you don't really feel like any of the danger is that bad. You're just like, oh, okay. And
Well,
it's just really boring. The villain is really boring. It's kind of
I
like
feel
they
like
took I feel like it's the first Iron Man movie, but it's like the Walmart version. You know, the villain is basically has the same motivation, sorta ish, that he wants to recreate Tony Stark's tech at some point. And instead of just, doing it by stealing Tony Stark's heart, he just kind of does it in 3 minutes. And yeah. And the
I
whole
mean,
thing with Rowdy, yeah.
I mean,
It's
Rhodey.
just a really bad movie. Rhodey. Is that how you say it?
Look, I'm just saying, the whole thing with War Machine, I think, was actually a cool plot point for the movie. With
I
in
think
the
it was the plot point with War Machine was cooler in Iron Man 3.
well, we're not to Iron Man 3 yet, which Iron
Yeah.
Man 3 is arguably the best out of the Iron Man trilogy, but we'll get to that in a bit. But that's
Okay.
just as a whole for Iron Man 2, it wasn't the I'll give you this, it wasn't the best movie, but it was better than the Incredible Hulk for sure, and I think it was
Okay,
slightly
yeah.
better than Iron Man 1. So if I'm going to give a rating on
No.
FE
I
Man
don't
2,
think it's
I'm probably going to give it a
what are you going to give it?
no, I'm joking. I'm actually going to give it a
I'm going to give it a
7 out
4.
of 10. I'm going to go with a 7 out of 10.
7. That's
I'm gonna
that's the same that's the same score you gave Iron Man 1. So,
I'm gonna go with the same one. I'm not gonna pick favorites.
no, Iron Man 1 is superior in many ways.
Uh
So
huh.
we jump all the way to 2011 and we get Thor.
Oh
It's
boy.
Thor's obligatory movie.
Well, this was an interesting movie. Well, first off,
Boring movie.
I think Thor wasn't okay. I'll give you the Thor was slow, like really slow. The problem with this first movie, I feel, was I think they did a fine job introducing Thor as a character, his unworthiness, the stuff going on in Asgard with Loki, setting all that stuff up that leads into the first Avengers movie. I think that was all fine. But the problem with this movie was it was so boring and there was such a lack of dialogue, humor, and wit. It just felt like a boring, slowed out movie where Thor's on Earth. He has to prove himself again with Mjolnir, takes down pretty much a version of the Iron Giant from Asgard, and then he's worthy again, gets sent up to Asgard in the movie, and then he defeats his brother, drops him in an abyss, yada yada yada. The movie's just I feel so slow and dragged out that it's a shell in some parts, and I feel like it could have been better than what it ended
It's
up
a
being.
forced movie. It's a forced movie. It's just kind of like
I'll agree with that. It's actually it feels like a forced movie like a lot throughout them, especially the parts where Thor's on Earth. Like they just feel
yeah.
dragged, like the
I
whole
felt
James
like I was watching the original Cars movie.
pretty much. I enjoyed
Yeah,
those
I mean,
this movie.
Lightning McQueen gets lost in the middle of a desert. Thor gets lost in the middle of the desert.
Yeah,
The
but
only
Lightning,
difference is that they would. weren't there to steal Lightning McQueen's tires. The government wasn't there to inspect that. So
Lightning McQueen didn't also wield Mjolnir, a lightning powered hammer.
he doesn't have hands. But
He has tires though. I
oh
said
yeah, that is.
possible. See what I did
Any,
there?
anyways,
It'd
uh,
be fun.
yeah, Thor. Thor's another one of those movies that you're just like. I have the same reaction with the Incredible Hulk. Like, if they ask me what was it about, I'm probably just gonna say Thor has a hammer and
Thor did
gets sent
stuff.
to Earth.
Like just Thor did
So it's not the
that.
worst Thor movie, however. I'll give him that.
Yeah, because the second one was that we'll get to in a bit as well. I think
Yeah.
Dark World is my least favorite Marvel movie out of all of them. But again,
My
we'll get into that in a sec.
yeah. So I'm gonna give it a 5. I think it's
I'm
slightly better than Iron Man 2.
I'm gonna give it a 6, just because I got to give it some credit for setting up the Avengers and stuff.
It's
But
just that that's
oh,
the point. It's not really. It feels like a trailer, you know. Like the
a
next
little bit
movie, Captain America: The First Avenger. That's essentially another trailer for the Avengers. Like these three last movies feel like trailers for the Avengers. They're not
pretty much.
movies really.
I
Like
mean, oh, we up to Captain America.
yeah, you can say that they're like for example, Captain America is a decent origin story. However, it's a trailer. It has like the end credit scenes is a
Pretty
trailer
much.
for the Avengers. You can
Um,
see like
I mean, there's not really much. I mean, like I agree with you there too about the like Thor and Captain America, especially in like the original movies before the first Avengers movie. They felt like just simple, like the origin stories. Parts of them were cool. The best origin story I think out of all of them was the first Cap movie. Had a lot of great
yeah,
detail, great aesthetic for the World War II setting. Cap's origin,
yeah.
how he got like his powers and whatnot, taking down Red Skull, the Tesseract, all that.
And you
It
know,
was great.
it's kind of a great homage for the way that the Captain America comic book started as propaganda, but you know, you get it.
But and I think another thing that I liked about the movie compared to like Thor, for example, was Captain America is one of the most favored characters in the MCU for a reason because it sets up his personality that he has like justice and all that throughout the movies, and I feel like it establishes that pretty good in the movie. But
Yeah,
other than that, it's just an
a
origin story
trailer.
to help bring the Avengers together. It's basically
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah. At the end of the day, this movie is just to promote the Avengers, same like Thor, Iron Man 2. So yeah.
Basically,
So
but
I give this movie hmm, I give it a 6. A
I'm
6.
gonna actually I agree with you. I'm gonna give it a 6 as well.
So we jump all the way to 2012, and that's when we get the first Avengers movie. Yay!
Hey, man, what?
So start. You
Whew.
start. There's a
All
lot to
right,
talk about that movie.
all right. Geez, what is there to say? The first Avengers movie is one of my all-time favorite movies out of the 18 that they've made so far. The Avengers is such a great setup story. Now, I'm not going to say that it doesn't have its issues because it is a bit slow at some points, but it
Yeah,
is an
like
amazing movie overall.
they have 30 minutes of Iron Man fixing a ship.
No,
So
basically, they could have just
yeah,
showed Loki getting retaken by his forces and the ship blowing up and all that.
yeah. The first
But
act is the first act is pretty boring. I'll give you that.
yeah, but the movie as a whole, the way that they bring the Avengers together, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, and all those guys, bring them together to take down Loki and his army. It not only sets up future movies very well, as well as like characters like Iron Man, for example, from that movie, which
Yeah,
carries into Iron Man, it's like PTSD and all that.
I thought that
And
was
this
pretty
movie,
cool.
I think, was too. And it sets up
I mean,
character arcs.
PTSD is not cool, but you get it for storytelling. For
Yeah,
storytelling, I
we're
like
just
to
we're
clarify that.
talking. Yeah, we're talking about the Iron Man character, everybody. Don't you worry about that. But I mean, like overall, though, the movie, great CGI, great battle scenes,
Yeah, I
great
was
story
surprised
arc.
by the CGI, and
Exact.
none of the Avengers movies have looked as well. Because I'm gonna like in well Age of Ultron had a really decent CGI. But for example, Civil War had some issues with the green screens, and so did Infinity War, which are my biggest complaint about those two movies. But Avengers really holds up today. I'm kind of impressed how it has held up. But it's only been 6 years. We'll wait for 2022 when this movie turns 10.
Exactly. And like it's like for right now though, the movie The Avengers as a whole is a classic movie, and it's aged kind of like a fine wine. It's just really good, and it's
Yeah,
arguably better than like some future titles like Age of Ultron.
yeah. And it doesn't have that problem, right? That Age of Ultron had. That it was. It's kind of like the Middle Sun. He's trying to be better than the. It's trying to be better than the first one, but it's still trying to get you to buy tickets for the next one, right? So it's kind of like a
Exactly.
trailer, but we'll talk about Age of Ultron in a minute, maybe
Exactly.
more, but yeah, you get it.
Yeah, overall, The Avengers classic and great movie.
I give it I'll give it an 8.
I'm gonna give it a 9 actually, because I think it was really good. Like it was that good, I think.
So we're going to Iron Man 3. So
On 2013.
yeah, we're jumping all the way to 2013.
Nice.
Iron Man 3, I really like this movie. Like, a lot of people are angry about the plot twist of the movie. By the way,
The Mandarin.
spoilers, yeah, of the Mandarin being an actor, and I actually thought that was pretty cool. It's
I
like,
mean, I did too. Like, I think overall, just to surmise, Iron Man 3 was a great story. It furthered Tony's character. It furthered his journey into it's like fully abandoning like that shrapnel thing that was in his chest and fully embracing his new identity of being a hero and a better person. And overall, though, like as far as the Mandarin thing goes for the villain side of things, besides the rest of the story was really good, just to get that out of the way. The whole thing with the Mandarin, yeah, it wasn't like the comics because people were upset about that, but they used the Mandarin to further I would argue, actually, maybe even like an equal villain. Like it was somebody from Tony's past that he had to deal with the extremist virus and all that stuff
like in
going on.
all the
It was
other previous movies.
exactly like all the other previous Iron Man movies. They've always been people from his past or from his dad's past trying to kill him for like past sins, like his company did or whatever.
Yeah.
And he has to deal with those inner demons. And it's a good story arc for Tony throughout the movies. And this movie's no exception. So over the Mandarin was a plot point, yes, but he was really funny. I feel like the guy who they had play
Yeah.
him, and the villain for the movie overall was just really good.
Well, I have complaints about that. Like the villain, like I didn't really like Aldrich Killian. But I like the twist that they had with the Mandarin. It was a great commentary on how we create our own villains, our own demons. I think they say that in the
Yeah,
movie.
like because Tony, I mean, he left that guy, he abandoned him essentially, and the guy wanted revenge and wanted to be better, so
Yeah.
Tony kind of turned to the villain side.
Yeah, and that was pretty interesting. And I really I hate this, but everybody says that Black Panther had some incredible social commentary when
Are you serious?
it was just really for one phrase that they said at the end. But Iron Man had an even bigger social commentary than Black Panther. So,
Pretty much. I have a couple of things that I have to say about Black Panther, but I'll save that for when we get there.
overall, this movie, I'll give it the same rating as Iron Man 1. 8 out of 8. 8 out of 10.
I will, I will give it a well-deserved 8 as well, because that sounds about right, about what it
So,
deserves.
if I have to rank the Iron Man movies, I think the worst one is Iron Man 2, then Iron Man 3, and then Iron Man 1. Because you can actually skip Iron Man uh 2.
You could skip Iron Man 2, but I honestly think Iron Man 1 is my least favorite out of the three, but that's just my
Just because
opinion.
it doesn't have some PG violence. Anywho,
No, it's nothing to do with it.
let's go to. Actually, we have our first Marvel TV show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm gonna straight out. I actually hadn't seen this show till recently, And I have this rule where I watch 5 episodes of a TV show and then decide if I continue watching it. And with Agents of Shield, I lasted till the fourth episode because I couldn't anymore. The acting is terrible. It's really I can't stress how terrible it is. Like this is Disney Channel level shit of acting. Like
This is
I thought
all
Jake
of
Paul
acting.
was gonna show up at some point. It was some scary shit, man. And the plots are so boring. There's constant referencing to the Avengers, so it never truly is its own thing. So
Hey, how about the act show the Avengers? That might be a step up. Have like some of the actors come on.
no, because the idea is that they have to be a little bit like they don't have to rely so heavily on the Avengers thing.
You know, you're not helping here because I'm trying to. Well, over the movie, not the movie, the TV show. I agree, it's pretty boring. The plots aren't really all interesting to me in the episodes. The most interesting arc for me when okay, to be honest, I haven't watched every single episode. I've only caught it occasionally, and I read about like the plots and stuff, like characters. Only interesting thing to me that came out of Agents of Shield recently was the Ghost Rider storyline they had because I do like Ghost Rider.
Oh, Rice
But
Gum?
other than Ghost Rider. Whatever,
The
shut up.
Rice Gum
Um,
You were just
uh,
watching Content Cop after Agents of Shield.
uh-huh. No, I was actually watching a top 10 worst YouTube channel list, and yours was number one. Anyway, so
Ah, cool.
no. Uh,
I've made it.
um,
Yours were number two,
you,
probably, but
nah.
you're always number
I
two
wasn't
to
on the.
me, bitch. Boom.
Oh, yeah, you're always number three.
Uh,
You're the Shaq.
eh,
But
yeah, we're getting
either
excited
way,
now.
the show is just okay. It's nothing special.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3, and that's me being generous. So,
I'm gonna give it a two because I don't like those. I like the DC TV shows better, like way
they
better.
both suck.
No, they don't. The Arrowverse shows are great.
They suck. They're the same thing. The acting is terrible. Plotline's
No,
boring. Grant
you
Gustin
need
is
to
the
watch
worst
them.
actor I've ever seen in my life.
No, he's not.
When you find a real TV show to watch, call me. Um,
Okay.
so next
Well,
up,
you can make
Thor: The Dark World.
contact.
Thor
Contact.
Thor has always been one of those movies that is a setup. So yeah, Thor: The Dark World. How do you feel about that one?
I think Thor: The Dark World. It's the worst piece of garbage that I've ever seen in the MCU, and that's saying something because I even think that it's better than half the content you make. That's what you get for insulting the
Someone
DC TV
salty.
shows. But either way, that's not salty.
Salty.
Anyway, so yeah, we're talking about Thor: The Dark World here, man. So either way, Thor: The Dark World. I think that it's the worst movie out of the entire MCU line.
It's
The
pretty
plot's
bad.
terrible. CGI is pretty bad. The storyline with Loki wasn't even half decent. Where oh yeah, he may have faked his death, and yes, that leads into Thor Ragnarok, which is way better than this movie. But
Yeah.
holy crap, it was boring. CGI was bad. Thor's character in this movie was kind of dopey, and the whole thing when they try to introduce Jane Foster and to make it more interesting to basically take down what is it, Malekith of the dark. The villain was weak too in the movie.
Yeah, I
The
always
villain was
forget which one was the villain for Thor 2.
I think it was Malekith
Yeah, it
or
was.
Malekith or whatever.
Malekith, yeah.
But he was so boring, so general. He was like a throwaway villain. They could have done something else with him in the future, but they just wasted him on this crappy movie. And overall, like everything about the movie, like the only purpose that it serves is it's a plot device, is what it is. It's not even a movie; it's a plot
It's
device.
a trailer.
So, yeah, it's boring. It's terrible. It's a terrible movie. I think.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I agree with you. I would say it's the second to worst for me. Um, because Thor 2 is just really a forgettable movie. I actually think the CGI was kind of good. It had some good shots and mixed photography and the CGI aspects of it. However, it is pretty boring. It's a trailer for another movie. So, yeah, it sucks. Enough said.
Yep.
I'm gonna give
So overall,
I'm gonna give it a 4.
oh, what? I'm gonna give it a -5.
Negative 5.
Okay, fine. I'll give it like a 2 because it's or 3. I'll be generous. I'll give it a 3.
So you liked it better than Agents of Shield?
I despise Agents of Shield, to be honest with you, and I really don't like this movie. But yeah, sure. At least this movie had like decent CGI
Yeah,
and
so we jump all
had
the
fun.
way to Captain America, the Winter Soldier in 2014. This movie is fucking
On the
awesome, dude. Did you like Captain America, the Winter Soldier?
You want to know my thoughts on it? You want me to go
Yeah.
first?
You always go first, so.
All right, sure. Why not? Well, I'm better, obviously. So, but yeah, the Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This movie, okay, first off, I'm just gonna say this: out of all of the heroes, like Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America, the one with the best, most consistent trilogy is Cap, in my opinion. Thor, his first two movies weren't that great. Iron Man, he had some consistency, but not as good as Cap, I don't think. And Thor Ragnarok, though, is the best out of the entire Thor trilogy by
We're
far.
not there yet.
But as far as the Winter Soldier goes, pretty an awesome story. It was cool to see a lot of they bring Bucky back into it. I honestly didn't expect them to do it, but they brought Bucky back. They had a great storyline there with Captain America trying to weed out the corruption in Hydra. Well, in Shield, I should say, because of Hydra. You know, taking on Hydra again, like 70 years after he wakes up. You know, having to deal with his past with Bucky. You know, trying to get his old friend back. And like, there's a lot of great action scenes. I love the helicarrier and shield infiltration toward the end of the movie that he had to do with everybody else, with Black Widow and everything. And it was a really cool concept to see Cap like for the first time outside the law. Like that was like the first out of two times I think in the franchise that he's been wanted as a fugitive. And frankly, I think it was a really good storyline. CGI was pretty good. Action sequences are good. And as far as the story goes, at the end, there's a good setup to later appearances by the Winter Soldier when he's like, "Oh, I'm not a brainwashed assassin working for Hydra. I'm actually Bucky Barnes. I'm a friend of this guy wearing tights and carrying a shield,
Yeah.
and I need to go find my identity." So I thought it was a pretty
Yeah,
good
the
movie.
action in this movie is really good. It's a lot of practical effects, which is something rare in the MCU nowadays. Which is kind of a Russo brothers trademark now that they do a lot of punching. But yeah, overall, the story is a really interesting one. You know, we see Captain America, a man that represents basically the law, I guess we could say, turn his back on the government. So that's pretty interesting. It's like in the comics. Well, it's a setup for what happens in the comics when he becomes Nomad. But yeah. Uh,
Pretty much overall,
yeah,
great movie.
yeah,
I
I
think.
can't really
Give
talk about
this-
it too much because it would take a lot of the podcast. But yeah, overall, it's a
So
good
that's why
movie.
we're just like,
But it does have I do have an issue with the marketing team for this movie that they should have kept the
what?
Bucky thing a little bit on the download, you know.
His idea or the Winter Soldier being in the movie because
Yeah,
you can't
yeah,
keep
I
the
think it would have been better. Or maybe no, because then they would have to reveal the Hydra plot twist. So,
that's what.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe they should have
So
called it Captain America Goes Fishing and then it's like a totally different movie.
Captain America goes fishing. What? What?
Yeah, because then you wouldn't see anything coming. So,
Captain America goes. That sounds like a Deadpool title, man.
yeah, but it would caught you off guard. So, I give it a 9.
Either way, yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9 as well. Why not? It's pretty
And
good
now we
movie.
have reached the best MCU movie you will ever see, Guardians of the motherfucking Galaxy. Bitch.
No,
I love this movie.
it's a great
Uh,
movie, but it's not
it
the best.
it is. It's a
No,
great
it's
just
really
break
not.
from Earth. I fucking hate Earth. Earth sucks. I live in it and it's just terrible, guys.
You live on it, not in
Yeah,
it.
actually I'm a minor, so
That doesn't mean anything.
I'm underground, therefore I am in it. Anyways, that doesn't matter.
That's
This
still,
movie is just
that doesn't count.
amazing. The color, the editing, the practical and CGI effect mix. That was all
Don't forget the.
incredible. The humor was amazing. It's just a great break from the MCU. However, I do have a problem with it that that is the villain. And we get a sneak peek of Thanos, and that's kind of annoying. But you see why we would get it in this movie, and it kind of would be awkward if Thanos shows up in Iron Man 3. But yeah, overall this movie is fucking
I mean,
amazing. I was a fan of the comics, and I was just so scared of how they were gonna do Rocket, but he turned out great. Same thing with Groot. So yeah, overall great fucking movie. It gets a 10.
personally, an N.
Yeah, a 10.
Oh, a 10. I think you said an N. Okay. As far as my thoughts on Guardians go, Guardians is a pretty dang good movie. I will say this: it was a nice change of pace to see just a bunch of misfits come together
Oh, like
to form
Suicide
this amazing.
Squad.
Yeah, we will not talk about that movie, but yeah, Guardians though it's definitely a way better mashup of that. Great characters, great personalities. The humor went really well together. CGI and graphics were pretty dang good for the movie as well. The villain I had another problem with. He wasn't as bad as like Malekith from Thor: Dark
Yeah,
World, but holy crap, where he was so
forgettable.
boring. He was just working for. He is very forgettable. Although the only thing that I remember him for is the fact that Quill had the dance off for the galaxy. That's the only thing I
Yeah,
remember
that
him
part
for.
was pretty
Like
funny.
that's the only thing I remember
It's
Ronan for.
just, it's
That was
just
funny.
such a like that scene. Everybody's like criticizing it, but I think it's just hilarious. It's just kind of making fun of musicals from the early '70s and '80s. So
Exactly. And
yeah,
it was great. And it really like another thing I liked about that scene too, just besides like the humor and the way they defeated Ronan basically, was it's like when he Quill grabs the power stone to like stop Ronan from using it, it sets up what happens in Guardians 2 and it explains more about like who Quill really is,
yeah,
and I really like that little subtle setup they had. But overall, Guardians, it was a really enjoyable movie. I did love it. It's not my favorite. It's in my top five, but it's not my
yeah.
favorite
It's
movie of the
my
MCU
favorite
so far.
movie
But
of the MCU and third favorite movie overall.
I'm gonna give Guardians of the Galaxy, if I had to give it a rating, I'm gonna give it a
Okay,
9.
I can live with that. So we jump all the way to
Okay, it's actually
2015, and we see our second Marvel TV show, Agent Carter.
I can't even say anything about this one. I've
I
never
have
watched Agent
it's
Carter.
really good. It's what I can say about it. It's a good show. It reminded me of the Linda Carter Wonder Woman TV show. It feels a bit like that, but without Wonder Woman, obviously. And it's really fresh.
Yeah,
Howard Stark is there, Jarvis is there when he was a human. And it's a shame that it got canceled.
I
But
don't
it's
know.
it's a really good show. I recommend it. It's not the best show on TV or that was on TV, but it's definitely probably the second best Marvel TV show. So
All right,
I
cool. So overall, what would you give it?
I'll
I
give it
can't give
an
it a
8.
rating. So.
No, no, I'll give it a 7. I'll give it a 7
Okay.
because it's enjoyable at best. And then we go to the next and the first Netflix TV show, Daredevil. Did you see that one?
I have. I've seen the only one of these shows that I've seen the least of is Iron Fist.
You have
But
done right.
Daredevil, oh man,
It's
what's to
it's a
say
good
about
show. Like the
Daredevil?
action is good. It's uh, what I didn't like was the photography and illumination. I sound like a film snob, which and so sometimes I'll turn into that. But the illumination just really grinds my gears. But I'm just a critic.
I don't know. I mean, the Daredevil TV show, I think it's really good. It pays a good homage to Daredevil because he's one of my favorite Marvel characters, like period, in the comics
Yeah.
and of course,
Of
like
course,
in
the
the
show is
show
about the
itself.
modern
The Daredevil,
Daredevil, so which is the best.
exactly, and I
Yeah,
like
the
that you
Stanley
have
Daredevil I don't really like that much.
not like he's not. I don't think he's as bad as everyone
He's
thinks, but
really
he's not the best.
cartoonish, but
But this
that was
Daredevil,
how it was back then.
yeah, but Like nowadays though, like this Daredevil is more realistic. I like the fact too that they have this guy. He doesn't have technically you could say he has powers, but he doesn't. He has enhanced senses and radar vision and all that from the chemical accident. But they make it realistic to the sense where there is a guy who's dressed
I
up
mean,
as
so
a
does my
devil
uncle when he's
going
drunk,
around New
but
York and oh my gosh. That's my grandfather. But yeah.
anyway, yeah.
But I'm pretty sure my grandfather might be Batman,
Yeah.
but we
We
won't
can
talk
set up
about
a
that.
fight. My uncle against your
The
grandfather.
alcohol. All right, let's fight
yeah.
fisticuffs. Either way, just Daredevil. I like the realistic view they have. This guy dressed up in a suit going around and taking down crime organizations. He has really good stories with like
Yeah.
Wilson Fisk.
Wilson Fisk
He has
is
really good stories with
Wilson
Fisher.
Fisk is one of the best Marvel
Those
villains I've seen. Kingpin. It's right up there.
absolutely like the classic
Yeah.
mob boss who he doesn't even need powers to be
Yeah.
like intimidating and a great
I
villain.
say
That's
he's
what's
my
great about
third
him too.
favorite villain. You know, it goes number one would be Killmonger. Uh, second one would be, I guess, Thanos, and then third, Kingpin.
All right. Overall, Daredevil, just to surmise, Daredevil, very, very good show, very realistic, down to earth, great photography. Elimination, I can see at times, but I think it fits the aesthetic well at
Uh,
certain points, just not all the time.
it's hard
And
to
he's just a
watch. You
great
know,
character
it's
to
kind
build
of hard
on.
to watch action sequences when everything is kind of dark.
Yeah, that's true, but it's Daredevil though. He goes out at
You're
night. He's
supposed to
supposed
see
to
it
be like
from
under the
his
cover of darkness.
perspective if you think about it.
See it from his perspective. He's blind.
That's the joke. Um, yeah, I like season two
He's
better.
ruined the
Season two is better, you know, because it has the Punisher and Elektra. But yeah,
exactly. But Daredevil,
yeah,
great
it's a good
show.
show. It's not great, but it's good. I'll give it a 7 as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 8.
People are gonna criticize our rating system. Uh,
Exactly. But you know what? Who
yeah.
cares? It's our
I mean,
opinions.
they're commercial movies. They're not artistic films, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So yeah,
Exactly.
let's go to the next movie. That is Avengers: Age of Ultron, and the biggest, most expensive trailer I've ever seen for at least 3 different movies. They advertised Thor Ragnarok, Civil War, Infinity War. I'm surprised they didn't even advertise Ant-Man or Spider-Man Homecoming. Like,
I don't know. I mean, like as far as like Age of Ultron goes, Age of Ultron I thought was a pretty good follow up to Avengers. It had a really good story. I did actually enjoy Ultron as a villain. I did enjoy the introduction to Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, even though Quicksilver didn't even last the entire dang movie.
a
But
week of
Avengers
Ultron.
4 is coming up, so we may be able to. I don't think he was fast enough,
Yeah,
but
Sonic would have
I
been
think
better.
that's the point. Exactly. You just put Sonic in instead of Quicksilver and Age of Ultron. That
Yeah,
would have been way
no,
better. But I mean,
yeah,
like I enjoyed those characters' introduction of the movie. The CGI wasn't as good as the first Avengers movie, I don't think. It was all right for like a
yeah,
Marvel movie, but it wasn't the
yeah,
best that they could have done. But overall, though, I think just in terms, it brought the characters together, introduced more characters for future MCU movies, set up other movies like Civil War, and overall, in Vision, we got Vision as well, and the introduction of another Infinity Stone for the upcoming movie that would take place a couple of years after that for
yeah.
Infinity War. Other than that, I think it's a pretty solid movie,
I
even
think
though
it's
it's
just a
not the
trailer,
best.
really. I don't see it as a movie. Uh, like what angered me is that I really didn't like Ultron, just because I wasn't a really big fan of him in the comics. Well, because I didn't know anything about him until I actually read them. And we live in this time where technology, where we could actually have an Ultron or we could have a Jarvis, and the line is so thin, right? So that's a fear of mine, right? AI going rogue like in
Yeah,
Terminator. So, like Skynet. So, when I saw Age of
I
Ultron,
don't
the
remember
fear
that.
didn't really feel that it was there. I didn't feel scared by Ultron, right? And it just oh, I also remember it sets up
Yeah.
Black Panther. Yeah, this movie's a trailer. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. I didn't really feel like I didn't like them till like Civil War. Well, not Quicksilver because he's dead. But yeah,
Yeah.
Vision.
But
Yeah,
just wait until
it's
Avengers 4.
essentially a setup. From me, it gets a 5. So yeah,
I'm gonna give it a 7 because I think it is a solid movie, but it's
it's
not the
yeah.
best.
It's not a forgettable movie just because of the fact that it's an Avenger movie. But it was if it was like
Yeah.
if it were an episode of Daredevil, I think I would have forgotten about it by now.
If it was a DC movie,
Yeah.
we would have
We'll
forgotten
talk
about it by
about the
now.
DC TV
It
shows
would have
and
came.
movies if you guys would like that.
We
Yeah.
could do that in another one. All right. What's up
Ant-Man.
next?
Ant-Man is an okay movie, I guess.
Yay.
It's really creative. I'll give him that.
If I'll put it to you guys this way: Ant-Man is in my top 3 favorite Marvel movies, and with Ant-Man and the Wasp coming out, I'm very hyped for it. If you guys don't
You have
know,
a
which I don't
poster
know
of
if
it?
I've ever mentioned before, Ant-Man is one of my favorite. Hey, shut up. I think Ant-Man is one of my favorite Marvel heroes. General, his suit, his powers, his backstory, the setup that they have in the movie. Ant-Man is a different movie. I think
Yeah.
it's an underrated Marvel movie because it did well and it was well accepted, but I feel like it's underrated because it's not just for like my nostalgia for the character or for the movie in general for Scott Lang, but the development that they had for him. He's a petty criminal, no powers, didn't start out with anything, a good intentioned thief who comes across the suit one day and gets caught up in this, world like world crisis where he has to break into.
Yeah.
And I like the heist
Yeah.
setup they have for the movie, by the way.
I
The whole movie
actually
is basically like a
I
giant
actually
heist.
didn't
They
have
never did that.
plans to see that movie. Just my friend invited me and was like, "Okay." And I actually enjoyed it a lot. I cried when Anthony died. Uh yeah. It was yeah,
That was sad.
it gets an approval from me,
But
but at the same time it has kind of the Marvel villain problem where it's kind of forgettable. It's like, what was his motive? Oh yeah, they kind
I
of
mean,
didn't want to tell him that he was Ant-Man, but it's his business.
I mean, to be fair, the movie like Darren Cross, aka
Yellow
Wasp, in
Jacket.
the
It was
like
Yellow
yeah,
Jacket.
no, Yellow Jacket.
You said
Yellow
Wasp.
Jacket. I just
Okay.
corrected myself,
It's
dingus.
pronounced Dinguys.
Okay, well, either way, Ant Man, I feel like it's a pretty good movie. I love the movie for the new approach, the
Yeah.
shrinking, the CGI that they had for the shrink effects. That was really good. Something they've never really
I
done
really
before in
like
the
that the
MCU.
suit was
The villain,
actually practical. It's not like the Iron Man suit that's half CGI.
like exactly, like it's like an actual suit. The only CGI
Yeah, when
effects
he
to
was
it were like the shrinking effects
subatomic.
and the growing effects.
So
Exactly. Well, when he went subatomic, that was like in the end of the movie. Those were really good effects as well too. But overall, Ant
yeah,
Man pretty
Paul
solid and
Rudd,
pretty good movie of the
rules.
MCU, I think.
So
Yeah, Paul Rudd, his humor and his character for that well-intentioned thief turned hero vibe, family man, whatever.
yeah, I
He
give it a
plays the
7.
role really good, really well. I'm gonna give it a
Okay, so
9.
we go next up to the best Defenders Netflix show, Jessica Jones. I love Jessica Jones. It's like Daria meets Sherlock, and it's just awesome. What I didn't like was the ending. That it just resolves it the way Man of Steel did it. Yeah, that
Really, you
she
didn't like
just
the ending?
snaps his neck.
I didn't. I mean, well, what'd you expect? Like that was the build-up for the entire show.
Yeah.
Like this guy that's
However,
been mentally messing
like
with
I
her,
don't have a better
and her
way to
life's
solve
been
the
long.
conflict. They they wrote
Like, what
themselves
else would you have done? But would you have
into a
watched?
wall. So, but yeah,
I
it's a
mean,
good
pretty
show.
much.
It's pretty
I mean, I
pretty great show. I give it an 8.
as far as Jessica Jones goes, Pretty good show. I like the concept of Jessica Jones, drunken PI who finds herself being this hero that she doesn't always expect. The whole snapping neck thing, yeah, it was kind of Man of Steel esque, but overall pretty good show. Not as good as Daredevil, I don't think, but I'm gonna give it
Fight
a
me.
solid 7.
Uh, no, I did like it better than Daredevil.
Meh. What's next?
2016 brought us Captain America: Civil War. It's a pretty
I
good movie. I'll
loved
give
this
you that.
movie
Yeah.
actually. It was what I loved more about Civil War. It was the standard well, I shouldn't say standard. Captain America story where he's going to help out his friend Bucky after he gets framed by this. I'll get to the villain in a second. I love the fact they brought in all these Marvel. This was the biggest Marvel movie that brought all these characters together before Infinity War, and it was a really great conflict. It was really great seeing them like divided for once, seeing all the whole story play out. CGI
Yeah.
was a little bit spotty at times, but overall it was pretty good. Especially like the giant man scenes, like Ant Man. Like we were talking about
Yeah.
how like the shrinking effects were good in Ant Man. The giant
No,
man
actually,
effects were
I
actually
yeah,
pretty dang
I
good
don't
too, especially with
I
like the
don't agree
introduction
with
of
you on that. The
and
giant man effects look pretty bad. Same thing with the Spider-Man effects.
I actually like.
I think it was mainly due to the reshoots. But
Well, either way, I thought they were good. But regardless, the movie was pretty good, solid setup for the whole versus. I'll put it to you this way: the Civil War storyline not only actually technically had a
yeah, he
winner in the
did.
end with Cap winning, I guess, but
Yeah,
way
I
better than
hate
Batman v
Batman v
Superman.
Superman. I'm just gonna say
But
it before we actually do that podcast. But yeah,
yeah, that movie
Civil
was.
War was way
Bleh.
better.
But yeah, either way though, Civil War
Yeah, the
was,
villain.
and just to end it
Bruh,
off, the villain for somebody who never had
I
superpowers, he
I
did the
changed
most damage to any villain that had powers
I
or an
changed my
infinity
answer. Like
like
my
weapon
new
at
is
all.
my I was kind of thinking like I forget one of my supervillain ranking. It goes Baron Zemo, Killmonger, and then uh Kingpin. Thanos can suck my dingus. This is a family stream. Family stream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just went
it's a little late
fucking
for that.
Guardians of the Galaxy is fucking amazing, man.
That
Mother
no, you said
frickin'.
mother
Uh,
ducking Guardians of the Galaxy.
So yeah, Civil War,
Yeah,
it's
right.
really good. The only problem
Either
I
way,
have with it
movie
is that you kind of have to watch the other movies to sort of get it. But yeah, yeah.
to like understand like who the characters are
However, I
and
did
why they're all there.
cringe when my aunt called it. She was thinking, "Oh, Batman v Superman." So this one's called Iron Man versus Captain America. So yeah, she told my sister, "Hey, do you want to watch
No,
Captain America versus
no,
Iron Man?"
please.
And my sister just cringed her pants off.
It's like, oh, let
Oh my
y'all
god.
remember Batman v Superman still.
I give it.
Either way, really
I'm
good
gonna give it
movie.
the
I'm gonna
same as
give
Winter Soldier. Yeah,
yeah,
9.
9.
So next up we have
All right.
Marvel's Luke Cage.
So,
What I think it's kind of the worst of the Defender show. And I'll
mm,
okay, you go.
personally, personally, out of all the shows, Daredevil's my favorite. Jessica Jones would be my second. Luke Cage falls within my third. It's not the worst show I've ever seen by far. It's actually good. Just the problem I have with it is the villains are still kind of
Yeah.
generic. The action sequences aren't as good as like Jessica Jones or Daredevil. When they try to include CGI, like with like the scenes where like he's like bulletproof and whatnot, it's not as good as the other shows. It's not a terrible show, but it's
Yeah.
by far not the best thing they've ever made. So I'll just give my rating on it now.
Yeah,
I'm
the
gonna
reason
give
why
Luke Cage about
it's
a
my
6.
least favorite one is sure. You could say Iron Fist is worse and yeah, it's really bad. But the thing is, I already knew Iron Fist was gonna suck, and I actually had high hopes for Luke Cage, and it's really bad. The
Yeah,
acting is
I mean,
good.
there's no other way to
I
say it.
really hate Rosario Dawson. in this show. Rosario Dawson sucks. Um, but yeah, it feels like I'm gonna steal my argument that I had for Iron Fist, but it feels like they had no idea what they're going to do with the show because they gave them so many episodes. They were just like, okay, so we're gonna include this storyline with his stepbrother, and just some random crap to fill. So it felt like I was watching Naruto. Naruto. Why did I say Naruto? But yeah,
You're gonna
guys,
trigger all the
watch Real
weeaboos
Anime.
out there, man. Come on.
Like Corey in the goddamn house. Um. So yeah, Luke Cage. You know, the villains I can agree with you. They're pretty generic. So from me, it gets a 5 because I really love the soundtrack. So
I gotcha. I
you're gonna
gotcha.
get a
Well,
5, right?
all right. So we're kind of close on it then.
Oh.
Well, I
So
gave it a
next up
6
is
already.
Doctor Strange. Critics are calling it Iron Man on
Actually,
weed,
really.
and I can agree.
Uh, I mean, I would say more LSD,
Are you
but I
talking on
wouldn't say Iron
experience?
Man on weed. I would.
Oh, it's awesome.
No, I
I'm just
don't
kidding.
actually smoke
Um,
like at all.
yeah, Doctor Strange is pretty
Of
good.
this.
It's just it's really creative as well, and it feels like I have the same feeling as I had with Guardians. A relief. Whilst it's still really dependent on the Infinity Stones, but it's a good movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that too. Doctor Strange is an out there movie.
It
CGI
just
definitely
blows
goes
my
out there
mind.
way different, and just like the entire movie with the concept of with magic and all the optical illusions and whatnot that they had in the movie. Stephen Strange, I think Benedict
Yeah,
Cumberbatch, who
I
portrays
just
him, is
cringed
actually
at his
really good
accent.
job with the whole
You
snark.
know,
Yeah, why
he sounds like this.
exactly? Like
But
I
yeah,
don't know. Yeah,
British.
I prefer his accent
I
as
really liked his
Stephen
British
Strange than
accent
his
better
actual
than
accent,
his United States.
but uh, eh, I don't mind his Doctor Strange one. I think it's fun. But over like the movie like itself, like his character's pretty good. Doctor Strange is actually probably one of my favorite characters in the MCU. Besides like a lot of the other ones, there's some that I don't like too much, but Doctor Strange is up there. Really good, solid movie. I think like just judging from it did well, kind
Yeah,
of like Ant-Man, but I feel like it's underappreciated in a lot of ways. Just because it's different, just because Iron Man and Cap aren't in it.
yeah.
Well, that's the
To
point. They're
milk
introducing new
more money,
characters into the
guys.
MCU.
It's
It's
all
not
about the
always just
money.
going to be. That's the whole point of making movies. I'm not talking from the money standpoint. I'm talking about for like the universe in movies. It's not always going to
Yeah.
be like Iron Man or Cap or Hulk or whoever, like Thor. They
To
introduce new people.
keep
But
it
either
pumping.
way, really good movie, really solid. Either way, really enjoyed the movie. I'm going to give Doctor
Yeah, I really
Strange
enjoyed it.
an
I
8.
watched it in the theaters, luckily, because if you watch it on the phone, it's obviously not the same experience. But yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8. Which what did you
Yeah,
give it? Okay, same. So now we
an
go
8.
all the way to
No, I bet.
2017, and we have Iron Fist. Uh,
Yay.
TV show.
Best movie ever, right?
It's
Best
so
TV show
goddamn
movie ever, right?
boring. But I already knew it sucked. Yeah.
It's not that. I'll put it to you this way: I don't like
Yeah.
Iron Fist. There's not really much for me to say. The character isn't that. He's boring. CGI isn't that great. It's worse than Luke Cage's, I think. The stories are long and dragged out, and while they're interesting at some points, they drag out for so long when something interesting happens, and it just doesn't tie in that well compared to the other movies. So if I'm gonna give for a short little summary there of Iron Fist, I'm gonna give it a
Yeah.
4.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. It's not really one of those shows that you can appreciate how bad it is. The acting is really bad. I only really liked Flint Jones. He's the best actor, and okay.
I'll be back
And
while you're talking about the way.
Ward, I guess he's good.
All right.
and this Asian girl, I forgot her name. But yeah, and Ryan went to poop. So yeah, Iron Fist. It's just kind of boring. What Ryan said. It's dragged out. They give him too many episodes, and the writers probably didn't even know. Like they started inventing all these plot twists. There was an interesting point there when they start saying that, maybe Iron Fist was indoctrinated, and I actually think it would have been better if he actually doesn't get recognized that he's Danny Rand, right? Like they would have just been like, "Oh, cool, sure, you crazy man," and maybe at the end of the
All right, I
show they would have said, "Hey, maybe this guy is actually Danny Rand." But yeah,
well,
I'm gonna give the
I've
show
returned.
the same rating I gave Luke Cage. You're gonna give it a 4 or a 3, or what do you
All
say?
right, cool, cool. I,
Next up, we
I
go
said
to
4.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And it's a good movie. I'll give him that. The CGI is good. The soundtrack is good as like the other one. But mm, it it's also kind of not that good as the first one. Surely it has a better villain, but it doesn't recapture that magic, or it tries to but fails. So, yeah.
It just keep it on the short side style.
How do
We're
you
not
feel
like
about
taking up.
Guardians? Ryan?
The acting I thought was storyline in that movie was great. I
Oh
really loved John
yeah.
Doe. He was the
He got the
MVP in the
saddest
movie. I
marble
feel out
death.
of all of them. And
How do you feel about baby
yeah,
poop?
pretty much. And
Yeah.
I thought he
I
was okay. He's not my favorite.
uh,
I mean,
the
he's all
rule
right, I
with
guess. There's
cute
not really
characters
much to
is that
say. He's
they
there.
have to be the source of the problem, not the solution, which I think they did really well in Guardians 2. And
Yeah.
a lot of people are there
I mean, I
like
don't
saying
know.
that
And
he's annoying, but I think he's okay. I don't mind.
I don't know, and like the movie felt sped
Yeah.
up at times too. Like they felt like they were rushing certain points that should have lasted longer. But overall, pretty solid movie. If I'm gonna give Guardians Volume 2 a rating, I'm gonna give it a
Yeah, so am I. So now we go
7.
to Spider-Man Homecoming. It's just that I really like that
I love the
movie.
way you said that.
It's great.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
Spider-Man Homecoming was a great movie, actually. Definitely, I would argue the people are going to get triggered for me saying this. I think that he's
yeah,
probably
it's
the best adaptation of Spider-Man made. Definitely better than Andrew Garfield. Tobey
yeah,
Maguire is classic, but Tom Holland plays the role of Peter Parker, like this young, naive kid starting out being a hero, just got his powers and having that
yeah,
funny, quirky sense of humor that every teenager has. And also just being a superhero who has powers and, going with people like Iron Man. It was a great movie, great story for Peter. The villain was
yeah.
actually pretty good, very realistic, down to earth. He didn't have powers either. He had tech, and he
My
actually had a
fourth
really good
favorite
motive that
Marvel
wasn't destroying
villain.
the world, destroying the hero. He was,
Yeah, he's just a businessman.
yeah,
He's
and
just a businessman.
he was trying to support his family. Yeah, yeah, he was just trying to support his family. That's all he was doing. I mean, like it wasn't legal, but he
Yeah,
was
and the plot
supporting his
twist
family. He
that
wasn't trying to like
he's
destroy or kill people or
Peter's
anything like
girlfriend's
villains.
dad. I didn't see that coming. I mean, you're gonna call me a
Oh,
racist,
that was a great twist.
but
I didn't
yeah, I
either,
didn't see
but
it coming.
I
Yeah,
either way, I think really good villain, really down to earth guy, and it was just a really great adaptation. The
yeah,
interaction
I was
between
actually
Spider
kind of
Man and
scared
Iron Man were
about
really great
that
throughout the whole movie,
Tony
especially the
Stark was gonna
ending.
show up. I feel like it would have been just a lot Tony, but no, it's Spider-Man's movie, and it feels like that. And the humor is great. The soundtrack
Exactly.
is great. With
Tony
the
was
indie
just
rock.
part of it.
Uh, alternative rock, whatever the kids are calling it. Yeah, it's just a great movie. Tom Holland is my favorite Spider-Man. And it's like in the early days of Spider-Man. Peter Parker was supposed to relate to the average teenager or kid, right? Because it's kind of hard to relate to Andrew Garfield
And
and Tobey Maguire, who are grown men. And whilst Tom Holland, I think he is overage, he looks young. So,
oh, I think yeah, really great movie, and definitely I think the best
yeah.
Spider-Man movie made. Definitely
My,
better
yeah.
than Spider-Man 3.
Oh.
Also, by the way, Tom Holland's 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's really young, and when he's that young and this successful of a gig in Marvel,
Well, I mean,
holy crap, that's saying something.
it's commercial cinema, but what I'm trying to get at is that he has a young face, right? He looks young. Ralph, the movie maker, said that he actually
Yeah,
liked uh, that he didn't get the girl at the end, because y- Mary Jane, Peter Parker, and Gwen Stacy love thing in
yeah,
the Garfield and Maguire movies was kind of just not believable.
it's
Well, not
been kind
believable
of
because one's supposed to be an ugly
oversaturated.
fuck, and the other one's a runway model. And this one makes sense. He
Pretty
looks like a
much.
12-year-old, and he's hitting on a runway model. So
Yeah, he even looks older than
well,
Emilio,
everybody
and
looks
that's
younger
saying
than
something.
you. Uh, I'm gonna give it a
Nah,
10.
I look youthful as always. Either way, Spider-Man: Homecoming. It
We're
was. I'm going to give it a
such
10 as
fanboys.
well. Actually, I
And
will
then we
agree
get
with you.
Marvel's The Defenders. That one's another
I
one that
know.
I kind of forget always.
Yeah,
I think I did a review on all of the Defenders shows,
it's
and the Defenders one, I was just like, this is such a bland show.
the the, the okay. The Defenders. It's okay. The
I'll give you that.
Defenders. It's better than Iron Fist and Luke Cage. Not as good as Jessica Jones, Daredevil by far. The
It just get
Defenders, the
drags
team
out a
up
lot.
is it's an okay show. Like I can't even. Yeah, and it's like the most interesting part of the entire thing was the
They
ending
commit an act of
where
terrorism.
you like Daredevil, like it looks like he almost died. He doesn't, yeah, I mean, like that was it. That was
Yeah,
the best
it's
part.
just a
The
waste.
show is
It's kind
bland.
of a
It's
waste of
boring.
talent, right? But with
It's
Sigourney
drug out a
Weaver,
lot. It's just
wasted. Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
much. It's just okay. So
So I'm gonna give
overall,
it
I'm gonna
a
give the
6.
Defenders a 5.
I'm being generous. And next up, we have Thor
Okay, fair
Ragnarok.
enough.
Thor Ragnarok is a good movie, like compared to the other ones.
Actually,
Taika Waititi is pretty talented.
I, yeah, I think any of these movies could
Yeah.
probably be better than
Oh,
Dark
yeah,
World, in
you're
my
right.
opinion. Like seriously, but Thor Ragnarok definitely an MVP out of the 30 Thor movies they've made. Ragnarok was a
It
great
came a
story
little
setup for
late.
Thor. I love the aspect. Well,
Yeah,
first off, Hulk being in the
the
movie was
Revengers
really cool.
thing.
It did, but
We're the
in
Re-Avengers.
regardless,
The Re-Avengers with
the Revenge thing. I thought
Valkyrie.
that
Yeah, it was funny. The only my
I
only
thought that was
problem
fun.
is that the
Yeah,
marketing team on this movie, right? Where they should have kept the Doctor Strange bit and the Hulk bit to themselves, right? It would have been awesome to just be sitting in the theater and being like, "Wait, what the fuck is the Hulk doing there?" It would have been awesome.
I've heard that argument made before about Hulk, and I do agree. They could have done it in the trailers where like it looked like he was about to like see who it was,
Yeah.
and then like it cuts off so we don't see who it is.
It's I have the
And
same
that the
complaint
reveal would
about
have been
the
so much
Civil War
better.
trailer
But overall,
where
I
they showed
love.
Spider-Man, but
Yeah, like they not
yeah, you
shown that and
suddenly
like,
see
oh look,
Queens
it's
showing
Spider
up
Man.
and you're
He's
like,
in this
"What
movie.
the
It's like
fuck?" And yeah. Yeah, because I mean, my theory on that
exactly.
is that they only did it to
Either
saturate
way,
uh Batman v Superman because the same day that that trailer dropped, Batman v Superman came out and everybody was fucking talking about Spider-Man in the new Civil War trailer. but no one was talking about Batman v Superman.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
for
no, but
good
before it,
reason, when they
before it.
went and saw the movie, they were more focused.
Yeah,
I mean, either way, Thor Ragnarok, really great movie. Loved Hulk in it. Loved pretty much all the characters.
what do you think
Grandmaster
about
was
Hela?
he played a really good role too for a guy who wasn't technically a villain.
Yeah,
Hela, I thought she was okay. She wasn't the best Marvel villain, but she was all right. She was the best out of the entire Thor trilogy. Definitely better than Malekith. And I love the Thor storyline in this movie, where Thor essentially lost everything. Like that's how he rebuilt his character. He got rid of that stupid wig. He lost his home, his sister, his hammer, his eye, but he gained more knowledge and power at the end of the movie, that he used to become a better person after losing all these things that he had. And I
however,
feel like that
I
was
feel
really
like
good
this
character
movie,
development for
when
Thor.
you see Infinity War, to me it feels kind of like a waste because in Infinity War he doesn't get his hammer back, but he gets Stormbreaker, and he technically gets his eye back. Yeah, so it's kind of like he didn't
I
lose
think
anything. He
Stormbreaker's
just
better.
lost Loki, and that's it. Well, and Asgard, but yeah,
Asgard, and he lost his
yeah.
ship,
I
and
could
pretty
do
much
without my neighbors,
all of his
but
people.
my fucking eye.
Those were his people, man. Either way, man. Yeah. Other than that, though, Ragnarok, pretty dang
Yeah,
good
I'm
movie.
gonna give it a
I'm gonna
7.
give Ragnarok an
Well,
8.
what did I give the other Thor movies? No, yeah, a 7 is okay because it's just that it angers me, the marketing decisions they took. But so, did you
Not too
see
bad.
Runaways?
It was good. All right, I have not seen Runaways
Neither
actually,
have
so
I.
I
I just saw
can't
the
honestly
trailer
give a
and it was
review
just
on
like,
this.
I don't want to watch that. That looks boring.
So I
Inhumans?
don't
Did
think
you
we
see
can really
Inhumans?
talk about Runaways then that much. I watched the first
I just saw the
episode and I
trailer and
immediately
wanted to
wanted to throw
throw
my
out
TV out the
mine.
window.
So,
So, I
so
I
what rating do you give
despise
it?
that show is so bad, man. It's like I
Okay,
would rather
what
eat
rating do
dog
you give
crap. It's that bad.
it?
I'm gonna give it a negative 10 out of 10, and I'm not kidding. It's a
The
negative
Punisher
10
is up next. No, I
all the
can't
way.
really give it a
What
review.
about
I
you?
haven't seen it.
All right. Well, either way, The
I haven't
Punisher.
seen it full. Like I saw the first episode and I was kind of bored.
Ooh.
But maybe it gets better.
I mean, as far as Punisher, I've seen the first 2 episodes for, and I actually really enjoyed this show. It's better than Luke Cage, and it's better than Iron Fist. It's Frank Castle's actually a really good character in the series. I really enjoy him. I would say it's not as good. I would even argue that it's better than Jessica Jones. Not as good as Daredevil. I don't
I
think
don't
it's
know.
not that quality as far as like character goes. But Punisher is off to a pretty good start. People really do like it. And I
I haven't
personally, it's
seen
not
it
my favorite thing in the
full.
world, but
Like
it's
I've seen
very
the first
enjoyable.
episode and it's
So
kind of
if I had to
boring.
give a,
Yeah, that's what
I
I
mean,
was
I would give
planning
it
to
a
do
chance, watch a
before
couple
doing
more
this show,
episodes and
but
stuff. It's
I've
not
been
bad.
busy. So I'm not gonna give it a review.
But either way, I'm gonna give
Okay.
Punisher. I'm gonna give it a 7.
So
From what I've
next up, it's the new big boy, Avengers: Infinity War.
Yeah. Just before we get into this part of the video, I'm just gonna say Infinity War in my book
Okay.
is gonna get a 10.
I'm just
But I'll
gonna
explain
say
why.
spoilers.
I'm just saying. Yeah. So for
Yeah,
some reason, if you
I
haven't seen
mean,
the movie by this point, yeah,
this
there's
is
some
episode
Infinity War
3, guys.
spoilers. So
By the way,
yeah.
did you
But either
guys
way,
like the Professor
um,
Politics one?
pretty much. Hey, you guys should You guys should definitely go back and watch it if you haven't watched it already. Really, I think that was like the best
There's
guest
only
we've
been
ever had
three
on Trash
episodes
Talk
this
so far.
season.
Really great guy. Really got a lot of. I mean, yeah,
Oh.
but I'm talking about like even from season one, man. Like there was like several guests on this. That was my favorite person that we talked to, because he was really funny, really relatable, a lot of funny stories, great conversations, and it was
Anyways,
just really cool having him.
Infinity War.
But yeah, Infinity,
We'll talk
um,
about the ending in a bit, but
Infinity
we're just
War,
gonna leave that till the end, okay?
really amazing
Let's
movie.
talk about the first and second act. The first act
All
was really
right,
good.
we'll leave
I
that till
really like this sort of gag they have at the beginning when they start talking about that Tony Stark says that he's lactose intolerant, but he's been cheating on that because they named an ice cream after him. And then Wong says, "Oh, I really like the Hulk one," and Bruce Banner goes like, "What?" I thought that was kind of funny. However, the dialogue does feel kind of like stale throughout the
that was
movie. My favorite joke is the one where Rocket says he's gonna steal Bucky's arm. I thought that was kind of okay. It was like, yeah, we're talking
but
first
that's not in
and
the
second
first
act.
act though.
Um, the Wakanada battle. Uh, yeah, because Canada isn't real, so
Well, Canada, okay,
yeah. One time Ryan and I went there and
yeah,
there's
it's
nothing.
true.
It's a lie from the government to launder money.
Yeah, it was just like it's
Yeah,
actually
like all the ants
full
were
of
eating
maple
it.
syrup. Like
So,
there was nothing there.
anyways, yeah. So, I really like
It was
the
gross.
Scarlet Witch and Vision sort of little romance there, like in the comics. I really liked Captain America as Nomad. The whole, a lot of people like to complain about the Thor with Rocket and Groot, but I like that part. It wasn't dragged because I felt like that was my fear
That was really
that it was going to be dragged, but his scenes were the shortest, so it was okay. I really liked when the Guardians find Thor and they're just like, it's the pirate
it's
angel,
true.
and Quill goes, No. And then, yeah. No.
Are you making your
And
voice
everybody
deeper?
likes to complain about the
No,
Drax
this
joke
is
that he
my nose.
says, I can move so slowly I appear invisible. So I thought that was funny, but,
He's like, still see.
and then Mantis
He's like,
shows up.
we can still see. Damn it.
Oh, what do you think about Loki's death? Do
Exactly.
you think he's dead for good now?
Personally, well, first off, you guys
Yeah,
already
you're
know that I love the movie, and
bored,
I actually did
really.
talk about this in a video. Like, I gave my entire, yeah, everything that I said in that video pretty much sums it up. But to just summarize my point quickly, besides like Emilio's points, really loved the movie. I didn't really have any issues with it. The only thing that I had a problem with for the entire thing was the pacing at times. Some stuff went too fast, and I think that the length caused a
Yeah,
little bit of a problem. But overall, really amazing movie. As far as Loki's death, I think Loki's death was
yeah.
actually a pretty emotional.
I
That wasn't the
actually
most
didn't see
emotional
it
death, I
coming. I
don't
was
think,
like,
because we
okay,
kind of
Loki's
saw it
gonna
coming
figure
in a
something
way.
out.
But
But
that's
and
like,
then when
I mean,
Thanos,
we
no,
kind
but
of
then when
well,
Thanos says
Thanos
something
got
like,
on that shit
"Now
first, like,
stay
but
dead,
after
bitch," like that's when I know, oh shit, now maybe he's dead. It's my interpretation.
he didn't say.
It's the Quentin Tarantino version of Thanos.
Okay, well, either way, Loki's death was the most emotional part of Loki's death was like the realization at the end. Like you think like, oh, Loki's going to turn traitor again. He's going to join it with Thanos, but he doesn't. It just goes to show how Loki's character progressed through the
Yeah,
movies and how he actually ended up redeeming himself and sacrificed his life to essentially save his brother and everyone on the ship. And he finally embraced his Asgardian heritage. So Loki
for Thor.
redeemed himself in the end, and he
My complaint
sacrificed
about
his
that
life
scene is
essentially to
why
do it,
didn't just
or
Heimdall
tried to.
teleport Thanos
Yeah,
to the middle
and
of
it was
nowhere? Maybe that would have been a good idea.
I mean, yeah, they could have. Yeah, actually, I never thought about that. Like, why
No,
didn't they do
but
that?
before
He
Heimdall goes
had the
like,
Tesseract.
"Please give me dark magic," and
I mean,
shoots Hulk out of the way, well, back to Earth. And why doesn't he just send Thanos to
yeah, like down to
the end
Earth.
of the universe or something like that? I don't know. Plot
I don't
twist.
know. We can assume one
Yeah,
thing though.
Heimdall.
Heimdall is actually dead. Like he's gonna stay dead.
No, but Idris
Like
Elba
the
said he
actor already
wanted a bigger
confirmed that he's
role,
not
so
coming back.
maybe he does get a different character. Oh,
No,
it's just that
he
he said
said
in an
on
interview,
Twitter that he's
but
done,
maybe
man.
maybe not.
Like he's done. Yeah, he did say that in an interview. He did want a bigger role, but they
I don't
killed
know.
him.
Maybe he
For
comes
the
back
first
as a new
5 minutes of the
character.
movie, he gets like 3 seconds of screen time. He could. I mean, if things go down in Avengers 4 the way
Yeah.
people think they will, with the
Yeah.
timeline being changed, yeah, he could. He could.
Also, I'm gonna get a
But
lot of hate,
I don't
but
know.
I wasn't the biggest fan of Thanos. Like, you did feel the fear. I actually had a nightmare regarding Thanos the night I went to see it, where Thanos just shows up and takes over my town, my city,
Really?
and just like forces the entire population to take a German test. So,
That's really
I
wait.
don't know, man. I was tripping.
What? What? That's
But yeah, I wasn't really the biggest fan of
that's so
Thanos.
weird. Like what?
I felt kind of like his motives were kind of weird and forced. Like, I'm just a genocidal freak because, I want to. But yeah, I kind of liked his relationship with Gamora, but,
Oh well.
he was okay, I guess.
Oh, what
What
did
can
you
I do?
think of like in the Battle of Wakanda? What did you
Oh,
think
when
about Thanos? Like
no,
right
dude,
before,
when he
well, like right
turns back
before
time to
he
get the
got the
Mind Stone,
Mind Stone,
I
like
was like,
when,
shit.
it's like, well, just when you think they're gonna win, nope. Turns back time and he gets it. I was tempted to like just stand up in the movie theater and
Start
just
singing
sing,
that 21
"Wish we could
Pilot
turn
song.
back time," right before it started when I saw it the second time.
Man, when
Wish
that
we could turn back time
I
to the
was just
good old
about to
days,
shout,
and everyone's just like, "What is
fuck!
he
But I
doing?"
was, with my mom and my sister, and it's like that would have been awkward ride home. Like why did you just start shouting?
Pretty much.
Yeah, it was just like
That
shit.
would have been hilarious, though, I'm not gonna lie. But I mean, like one of my favorite parts about that fight was when
Yeah,
Shrek showed up and he tried to stop him, but he
it was
actually
sad.
ended up dying. It was pretty bad. Seriously, like it was really no,
But he's
seriously, guys, it
coming
was
back.
really disappointing
Shrek
to see
5 is
Shrek like
confirmed. So
die in the movie. You have no idea. Yeah, that is true. Shrek is coming back. They did like a temporary crossover with
you're stealing
DreamWorks. They even
Patrick
brought
joke.
SpongeBob and Dora into it. Like they died
Patrick
too, but
Barrett.
you know,
Yeah, he said that
Patrick's.
in your stream. I just showed up
I didn't
in your stream
steal
and I was like,
Patrick's
"What do you think
joke.
about
I
Shrek
didn't.
dying?" And then he goes, "Oh man," and Patrick responds, "I was more disappointed about SpongeBob and Dora the Explorer dying." Yeah, he did.
He didn't
Man,
say that. I
you
don't know
stole
what you're
his
talking
beard. You
about.
steal his jokes. What's next? His content. And anyway,
I didn't
so
steal
yeah,
anything.
let's start
I
talking
didn't
about
steal anything from.
the elephant in the room, the ending. The ending was I cried when
Dun
Spider-Man
dun
died.
dun.
I haven't cried like that since.
I think that ending was very, very appropriate, and I feel like the ending was very good. For the first time ever in the MCU, the villain won,
God
and
damn it,
he succeeded.
fuck.
And that's going to set up Avengers 4, which
We
is going to change
we
the.
forgot about Black Panther.
What? What? Okay, let's just quickly surmise. Black Panther was a really good movie. It was a really good introduction to the character and Eric Killmonger and everything. Really solid movie in the MCU. Really amazing movie. It was the first time that they'd ever actually like used like
I
Black
give
Panther
it a
ever, and it was really good.
7
So I'm
because
gonna
I
give
didn't
Black Panther a nine
actually
out of ten.
really like that. I hate the action sequences. They were all CGI shit. I felt like I was watching Ready Player One. So it gets a 7 by my standards. Holy crap, we were this close
Okay, so
from
now that we've
becoming
got Black Panther
Nazis,
out of the way
guys. Holy
quickly,
shit. That was
the end,
scary. Woof. I suddenly
yeah,
felt like my
nuts.
Sith stats is growing.
But
Oh
yeah,
shit. Um, yeah. What do you think about the end of Infinity War?
you already had. Personally, I think that the ending was really good. For once, the villain won. It's gonna set up Avengers 4. The deaths were really emotional, especially like on Titan, and even like Wakanda. It was tragic, but it wasn't like emotional. But the most
Yeah.
emotional one out of the people who faded away was definitely Spider-Man, because with the spiders, he felt the death coming first, and he had time to actually react before he faded away. So it was really emotional,
Yeah.
and just seeing like in him and Tony's relationship throughout the movies that he's been in have been like a mentor,
It's just that,
a kind of like father son
Tony Stark
relationship, but
here
like a
plays the
mentor
role of
student
Uncle Ben,
friend relationship
sort of.
too. Essentially, yes. Except thankfully,
I don't
Uncle Ben
know.
doesn't die
Maybe
for like
Tony
the
Stark
umpteenth
will
time
die.
in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
I don't know. The ending of Infinity, like, Quentin Reviews said it himself, and I agree with him that it's just that I would have liked that the Avengers Infinity War movie, like this, would have been the last MCU movie out of all of them. It would have been just a great close to the franchise. But sadly, that won't be the case. Yeah, because
Are you kidding? Do you really think that
no, I know
they're not gonna end
obviously
it off at
because it's the
18
most
movies,
lucrative
man? Seriously, that's not gonna
movie
end it off
franchise
there.
right now. Probably, I don't know, maybe Star Wars, but I would have loved that this would have been, just the end. A nice send off to the franchise. But sadly, that won't be the
Well,
case because they have to keep pooping out sequels.
I couldn't.
And no, because then
I mean, I'm
they're just
personally
cash
happy
grab.
that they're going to be continuing it. I
Because
really
at
love the
least
Marvel
when I
movies.
watch Thor 2, I feel like okay, this is at least a setup for Infinity War. But the next ones are just gonna be like cash grab. I know it sucked. I know it
Thor
sucked.
2 sucked. What are you
But
talking
at least
about?
I sort of
Dark.
knew that was coming. Something better was gonna come. Both.
Wait, did it suck or
But
did
yeah.
it zuck?
But
So
like
it
when I'm
zucked.
gonna watch, like I feel like we're gonna get to like Avengers
Yeah,
6, and I'm like,
we're
oh, remember when it was entertaining? So yeah, that's actually why I wanted to talk about the upcoming films. But by the way, what rating do you give Infinity War? 10? I'm gonna.
I'm giving Infinity War 10. I'm solidly sticking with that.
What are you gonna say?
Although, admittedly, what? I was
Oh,
gonna
okay.
say like
Yeah,
after we're
this is way
done
too
with
long
the
now.
video, I'm gonna go live stream.
I'm gonna give it an 8. So yeah, we upcoming movies we have and TV show we have Cloak and Dagger. What the fuck is that about? New Warriors. Okay. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Uh, yeah, it looks like it's gonna be fun.
Wait
Captain
for that.
Marvel, Avengers 4, Spider-Man 2, Guardians 3. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not excited for those movies, especially because I don't know. It's gonna feel like what every Marvel critic has been saying since 2014, that at the end of the day they're just cash grabs. And now that it's gonna feel like that's the reality. Like it's gonna be the nail in the coffin to actually said that.
Well,
But But
well.
yeah, guys, this podcast has been way too long. We have to say goodbye. Goodbye, everyone. We'll see you next week, hopefully with a guest. So, from all of us here, good night.